How many of you know baseball stories? You probably remember going to your first ball game, getting an autograph or a picture with your favorite player, or playing a game where you got the winning hit or made a nice catch, or perhaps you were like me and never caught a foul ball in a Major League ball game. I understand that former ball player certainly someday preached here too. Baseball has been probably around before the Abner days, before the Alexander Gerber days. And even before that, he's supposed to have been the game. Given away lots of small town newspapers the results of local contests and names of players back then. Old box scores are special interest for us, yes. I know in the Elgin area, there was extensive coverage of games back in the 1940s. Getting one of those players finally inducted into the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame because of those very old newspaper documents. This gentleman here has a microfiche machine. That's how the libraries let them have the newspaper reels. Those who that read baseball stories, articles about vintage baseball. Our professor on the radio station at East Urbana-Champaign University was on the radio station, and this gentleman here works as far as newspaper. Dr. Sampson is a professor at Miltikin University. He earned his Ph.D. at the University of Illinois at Champaign, Urbana. Dr. Sampson has written about the growth of early baseball and teaching about labor and baseball history. He's been a reporter, columnist, congressional aide. He has written numerous historical articles and has received awards for his work. I know that you will enjoy his stories. He served as Dr. Sampson discusses the history of our favorite subject, baseball. Now let's welcome Dr. Bob Sampson.
I'm going to sort of pass these around as much as grammar and just along. And I'll talk about as we go along. This is going to be sort of an informal thing. I don't have a lot of notes. I'm not going to have a lot of footnotes. But if you have questions at any time, just ask. Can you all hear me?
We have sticky move up in front, it's easier than don't have to. I said, we have sticky move up in front, not behind the podium.
Oh, well, I like to, I need protection back here. No, I'll talk for a while here. So what I'm doing right now, the last 2 or 3 years, is I'm looking at the explosion of baseball in Illinois between 1865 and 1869. And there's a reason for that sort of short window, which I'll explain as I go along. This map here, I didn't bring the original. I'm afraid the pins will fall off if I bring it. Each of those pins represents a town that had a baseball, at least one baseball team. A place like Springfield has 15. A place like Cairo, Illinois, down there, where Huck Finn and Jim got lost on Huckleberry Finn, they had like 13 teams. So there, to date, I'm probably maybe 3/5 to 4/5 done with my research. About 300 teams now. Yes.
Were all of these teams playing by same kind of rules, or
they're playing the whenever the rule was in effect, they started in 1865. So as they changed the rules,
so it'd been a New York style game?
Oh, it's all New York style. Yeah. So we're talking about, as I said last time, no offense, all of us league baseball teams are more than wrong, but that's okay. We have other reasons. Let me read a quote that sort of summarizes this up. This is from a newspaper over by Pittsfield, which is west of Springfield, called the Pike County Democrat. This is the editor's visiting Springfield. The names that I'm going to mention might ring a bell with the Springfield folks. Probably won't offend anybody else, but the thing to remember is all 3 of these names I mentioned are big shots. They are 2 of them are state office holders. So you get an idea of what we're talking about. So this guy, this is the editor, is visiting there. There's also a cholera epidemic going on. This is the September of 1866. This is what he writes about Springfield. There is no cholera there, but they have a complaint not set down in the books, which is raging fearfully. We suppose it may be called, quote, baseball on the brain. It attacks old and young alike, from the hoary veteran to the youngest child. Uncle Jesse has got it. Starn has got it hatched slightly. On the occasion of a match game, most of the business houses are closed, and the city seems quite deserted. In business hours, on the street, go where you will, and you hear the professional terms of the game flying in all directions. We are satisfied that it is an epidemic needing no advantageous aid to cause its spread in all of our cities. It is the fashion to have it, and therefore it ensures its raging. This is happening in Springfield. Uncle Jesse is Jesse Du Bois, former Illinois State Auditor. We're going to meet him again. Starn is his partner, a leader of the Democratic Party. Jesse is a Republican. Hatch is the Illinois Secretary of State. We have this big involvement in Springfield and other communities of powerful people with this game. As I said, probably throw in Chicago, well over 300 teams. It's like we have an article that's like from Stephen Friedman written several years ago. He counted 40 teams in Chicago during this period. Neighborhood clubs. So I'm talking about clubs, organized clubs. Outside that, we have bits and pieces of evidence that show people were playing baseball literally in the streets, causing problems, we find out. Now, what type of clubs do we have? We have adult clubs, juniors would be 16 to 18. So then we have what was called ponies, and that's going to be 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old teams. Then I also counted muffin clubs. And muffin clubs are teams that maybe only exist for 1 or 2 games, but are played to sort of lampoon the game and have fun. We've read Peter Morris's book, But Then We Have Fun. If you haven't read it, you should read it. He has a lengthy thing about the importance of these muffin teams, which of course the Ohio Village Muffins are founders, and the founder of many other clubs in this room take their name from. What are some of the names? Well, there's a lot of Excelsiors. Not because of the Chicago Excelsiors, but there's Excelsiors you can triple. A lot of other common names. The Egyptians, there's 3 Egyptian teams in southern Illinois. They're all jealous about who has the right to that name. Lone Star, the Lone Star Club in Springfield. Star, there's a Star Club in Bloomington, other places. Olympic. Celestials, I like that. Empire, lots of Empire teams. Pioneer, Athletic, Liberty, and then my favorite, a little town over by Peoria called Princeville, the Princeville Lucifers. I don't know what's going on over in Princeville. I would like to see that. The DuQuoin Wallopus. And Wallopus is the name that's in the press a lot. It's basically a water buffalo. These apparently were a bunch of fat guys playing baseball. We're going to try to recruit from the ground schools. The Nashville Suckers. Illinois' nickname, the Sucker State. So there's a couple more of these Sucker or Sucker State clubs around. And then my absolute favorite little town down by Centralia called Ashley. Anybody here been to Ashley? Oh, one person's been to 2 people been to Ashley. They have my blessings for you. The Ashley Deadbeats. Why would you call yourself the Deadbeats? Because it meant the same thing then that it means today. I don't know. And then 2 that are interesting. One's from Peoria, one's from Springfield. These are the only corporate teams. Fort Clark in Peoria, which is a mill. The Capitals of Springfield, which is taken from the Capital Horse Railway, owned by Jesse Du Bois, Alexander Starr. We're going to meet them again in a minute. Where are they playing? I passed around, of those pictures I passed around, one is Fairview Park in Decatur. It sort of looks like what we're playing on here. And Fairview Park is one of about a handful of places where you can actually stand on the ground and play a game where it was played in 1860. Most of these places were all paved over. There's 2 in Decatur, 1 in Centralia found so far. Centralia, Decatur, Centralia, Quincy. They played at a place called Allstein Prairie or Allstein's Field. A lot of these places, these towns are right on the edge of town. These are right on the edge of town because urban space, just as it is in New York, Columbus, Ohio, is high value. You can't stick a ball field in the middle of downtown St. Louis. So they're going to go out on the edge of ground that's sort of wasted. If they have an important game, they go to the fairgrounds and play inside the racetrack. So they can charge admission. They have a couple of examples. That's what happens in Decatur. That picture of Fairview Park, turn around, is the fairgrounds at that Illinois State Fairgrounds at that time. Quincy, they have a big game, the Cincinnati Red Stockings on their way back from the West Coast play in Cincinnati at that old fairgrounds. Bloomington's an interesting place in that the city council, we can talk about it later on, trying to save time here. The city council, despite the fact that the mayor is a member of the Bloomington Baseball Club, despite the fact that the Bloomington Baseball Club is one of probably the top 3 teams in Illinois at that time, despite the fact that the Bloomington Baseball Club has all sorts of connected people on its roster, the Bloomington City Council passes an ordinance saying there should be no baseball playing within the city limits. They ran out of town. Other places consider these ordinances. They have a problem in Cairo with people playing baseball in the streets. Jacksonville, none of them go as far as Bloomington actually throw them out. Springfield is sort of the other example, the other extreme. You have Bloomington, they throw them out of town, even though they're one of the best clubs around. Springfield, people can't get there fast enough to give people places to play. Jesse Starn, Jesse Du Bois, Capital Horse Railway. Before they had streetcars, they had these cars they pulled by horses. A little place at the end of the line was out in what used to be called West Springfield. Now it's sort of about probably about 6 or 7 blocks west of the Capitol. I forget the name of it. It's all built up now. There's a subdivision there. That was the end of the line. If you own a street railway, what do you want to do? You want to have more riders. You want to have them go as far as they can. So they create Railway Park, which we're going to see later on in the 19th century with minor league teams or major league teams. Streetcar companies involved. Why was Forbes Field where it was? Why was Connie Mack Stadium, Shive Park, built where it was? Intersection of trolley and rail lines. And so these guys are sponsors of the Springfield Capitals Baseball Club, the top baseball club in Springfield, and they're making money. So on the day of a big game, they run extra cars, they advertise, and then they make more money by selling refreshments once the people get there. Other Springfield politicians are giving away or making available land for teams to play on. There's an old facility that's no longer open called the Home for the Friendless. They're on South Grand Street. I think there's like a little park there now. It was sort of a orphan's home or whatever. Right across the street, they made available space for one of the Springfield teams to play on. In fact, when I finally located it, I realized, I was there all the time. I used to work for a guy who had his office on that corner, and now it's all asphalt. And there's other parts of Springfield where these little diamonds were located, again, by prominent people saying, we want to be part of this. To get an idea of who's behind this game. What rules were they playing? They were playing whatever rules were in action at that time. They were up to date, and they make a big point about it. And when they get into fights, when they get into disputes, they could get into fights. When they get into disputes during a game, you'll see they decided to refer it to Wilt's Spirit of the Times, sort of the sporting newspaper, or the New York Clipper. The New York Clipper is Henry Chadwick's newspaper. Henry Chadwick was a big guy, sometimes called Father of Baseball, not because he invented the game, but because he publicized the heck out of it. made it famous. So they're cognizant of the rules, and they're disputing about whether the rules apply. And I'll give you an example later on in one of these situations. One of my favorite things that happens in the game, the Centralia Egyptians are playing at Salem. I think it was the Salem Suckers. I should look that up. For the county championship of Marion County, the Centralia Egyptians were a very good team. They were probably the best team in Southern Illinois during this period. And so as we're getting ready to play the game at the fairgrounds, a fellow walks up and says, I think that anybody that gets to third base ought to have a beer. And so he sets up a 10-gallon barrel of beer just off the third baseline, which is all the incentive the Egyptians need. They win the game like 110-2. And they're always on third base drinking beer. So they did have some fun. Gary, the professor, asked me also to talk a little bit about players. Who were these players? Well, let me talk real briefly about my research. What I'm doing now is I'm going to every extant Illinois newspaper for that period, which is why I got to use this. That's why I have a microfilm machine at home. I order it from Springfield, come through the Millikin, I take it home, I crank for 4 or 5 days, I take it back. So that's my baseline. And that's how you find all of these teams. Some of these teams are actually in places where when I see the names, I have to get out my cell phone and do a search. Where the heck is this? I've lived here almost 67 years, and I don't know where this place. And some of them don't even exist anymore. They've been wiped out. So you got to go to an old map, go to this map, and say, oh, there it is. You know, some place called Logansport over by Peoria. Logansport was a little post office in 1867, but they had a team. So when I get that done, what I'm trying to keep up with, but I'm not complete yet, is then go into the city directories, go into the manuscript census, and try and find these players. Who were their parents? What was their job? I've got pretty good data for Springfield, Bloomington, Decatur, Pana, a little bit now for Peoria and Quincy. And so I'm going to make some generalities. Generally, these guys are the sons of upper middle to upper class people. Their parents, in the case of Springfield, were big shots, you know, the boys, Starnes, lawyers, doctors, and we can trace them through their careers and they become the same thing. There's occasionally going to be a farmer, a carpenter, not very many. So why? Because who the heck else can stop work at 2 o'clock on a weekday afternoon and go practice baseball? Or take off for 2 or 3 days on a trip and play baseball at that time. So that's also going to influence coverage because these are the elites or near elites of these towns, which is going to make the newspapers tend to cover that activity because they're involved. So we know that's basically Cliff's Notes version of who they were. What about some of the problems that pop up that I've found so far? Well, the general tension, and this is something that even we're sort of familiar with in village baseball, is this tension between gentlemanly conduct, gentlemanly standards, competitors. Especially as these teams start to become town teams. You know, this is the honor of Quincy. This is the honor of Peoria. You know, you got to beat those guys from Monmouth. What an embarrassment if we lose to Monmouth, that one-horse town over there in Warren County. You know, we're Peoria. We're the gym. You know, we're the gateway to the West. So, and we're going to see that act out. But there's always the one article I published so far sort of focused on this. There was a tournament in Decatur involving Chicago, Springfield, Bloomington, Centralia, and it sort of blew up because of disputes. And one of the things that would be mentioned in the papers was the conduct of Bloomington, in this case, was not gentlemanly. The gentlemen don't behave this way. You don't get mad and get on the train and go back to Bloomington without playing a single game. You know, you don't try and bust up the train. So there's this, on the one hand, there's this real effort to maintain this old Knickerbocker style. And we see evidence of that, and the team comes to town right through this period, maybe not the stops, maybe towards the end, 1869 or so. They're met at the train, they're met at the boat. They're escorted into town. They're given a tour of the town. They're wined and dined. When the game's over, there's a big banquet at some hotel. And they all sing, their praises. And invariably, the stories about these games end with a line like this, good feelings prevail. So on one hand, there's this effort to try and maintain this. On the other hand, is, we want to win. And if we don't win, well, we must have got screwed. Something was wrong. Something didn't happen. This is when the umpires start to have, we talked about that the last time, now the umpires are getting called in more. You're just not going to be sitting there in the shade with a cool drink. You get a high-profile game, say Centralia versus Mount Vernon, or the Quincy Occidental Juniors versus the Monmouth Clipper Juniors for the quote-unquote state title. Sort of dubious. Anyway, then it becomes serious. To the extent that a fellow named George W. Lackey, he was the president of the Illinois Baseball Association. He is probably, if not the founder, the key guy in bringing baseball to Bloomington and creating what, as I said, was probably one of the top 3 clubs in the state. 1866 and 1867. He's a sort of respected guy. He's umpiring one of these games, and the people start yelling at him during the game and disputing his calls and saying, this is what you should call. And when the game's over, he actually gives a speech saying, in all my years of doing this, and I've umpired all sorts of important games, nobody has ever treated me this way. It's starting to become a different game. Another source of tension is teams not showing up. Either not showing up on time or just plain not showing up. And then you get this newspaper exchange back and forth. Well, whose fault was it? Well, you didn't tell us. Well, we told you, and you just decided to go off and do something else. And you see this a lot, which seems like, sort of a silly thing to fight about, but they would do it. And then, of course, the one team that showed up would want to claim victory. Okay, you didn't show up, so we won. Especially if a team like Chillicothe, when Chillicothe on the river, just north, we did Chillicothe, just north of Peoria. And they had challenged the best club in Peoria, the Fort Clark Juniors, allegedly had challenged the Fort Clark Juniors to play a game at Princeville. It was Lucifer somehow. And Peoria didn't show. So Chillicothe said, we beat Peoria. We claim the victory over this top club and one of the top clubs in Illinois. Well, then the Fort Clarks start sending their letters out to the editor saying, wait a minute, this was done, this was done, this was not done. You guys are idiots. You can't, first of all, there has to be an umpire. There's no umpire there to declare a victory anyway. So these things drag on to the point that sometimes newspapers say, we've had enough. Don't send us any more letters about this topic. They got worked up. Ineligible players, that's what causes the problem in the games. This is more, finished baseball, anybody that has a pulse is an eligible player, right? We don't care. You can get out there and move around. We haven't got time. But this is the time when the rules, the national rules, are very specific about this. You cannot be a member of 2 clubs at the same time. You cannot be a member of the junior club and play on the senior club roster. You cannot be a member of the senior club roster and play on the junior club roster. There's a guy named Lee Cheney, just like the former vice president spells his, from Bloomington. Apparently, was a very, very good player, and he was young enough to be on the juniors, but he played for the seniors. So whenever the juniors had a tough game, they'd bring down Lee Cheney, who's better than almost anybody else. Well, other teams knew this. This is what causes a fight in Decatur. The Springfield team says, we're not going to play a team with Cheney on the roster. That's a violation. He's a senior club guy. He should be playing against us. So they get on the train and go home. It's actually two teams get on the train and go home in Decatur without ever playing. You see the same thing at Cairo, at Centralia. Centralia challenges Cairo. There's also a rule at the time that the captains are supposed to present a certified list when they get to town. These people have been on this club for 30 days. So Cairo gets off the train. Where's your list? Well, we don't have the list. We can't give you one. The reason they couldn't give it one is because they apparently had taken the best players from 3 or 4 teams and made an all-star team and sent that up to Centralia. Centralia went ahead and played them, but then this was commented on in the newspapers quite a bit. Ill feeling. I know this never happens in beach baseball, right? It's never happens in baseball. But there's sometimes, right or wrong, teams that just don't get along. They don't play because you don't schedule them, right? Well, this happens in this thing too. There was a team in Rock Island called the Wapellos. That's interesting. I mean, it's based on I think there's a Wapello Township over there. And I suppose that's an Indian. I need to look that up and see if Wapello was some big chief back in the Black Hawk War or something like that. Anyway, they got into it with Pekin. Pekin is sort of the team that everybody hates. They're always in trouble with somebody. Pekin, Chicago, Excelsiors, everybody hates those two teams that have trouble with them. And this goes on back and forth about, well, you didn't give us time to prepare ourselves to play back and forth. Bloomington, which is another team that seems to have trouble with everything, they have a problem with the St. Louis Union, and they got a problem with Chicago Excelsiors. And so this plays out over 2 or 3 locations, 2 or 3 different times. And so they're fighting back and forth about, well, you were supposed to do this and you didn't. One of the problems of the Chicago Excelsiors was, so we maybe understand that, they were probably the best team in Illinois. But it was, I wouldn't want to live on the difference between them and a couple other clubs. And so what they would do, they just wouldn't play people. They would say, well, it's a long way to go to Bloomington. You got to come to Decatur. You got to come to Chicago or Detroit. They had a similar problem with Detroit. So there was always this little odor of questioning around the Excelsiors. But they had that trouble. If you've read this great book by Peter Morrison, Peter Morrison's edited called Pioneers of Baseball and Midwest or something. He has a whole chapter. I think he has 2 chapters on the Excelsiors and their problems. So he does give them a little bit of credit. Centralia versus Mount Vernon. These little towns down southern Illinois, what can they do? Man, this is the one where the gunshots. Pardon? Yeah, well, I guess it's farther south in Williamson County. Okay, yeah, that would make sense. This is one that just goes on and on and on because they were 2 very evenly matched teams. And so the first game in Mount Vernon wins. Not by a lot, 4 or 5 runs, which for a 1860s baseball game, that's a tight game. Most of these things are like 89 to 10, stuff like that. It's either one team just pummels the other. Then they go to Mount Vernon to play, and during the Mount Vernon game, Mount Vernon player hits a tremendous line drive, which strikes the Mount Vernon pitcher in the chest, fractures his collarbone. But the guy's a gamer, just like Jim Canoblock. He picks up the ball and throws him out, and then collapses on the field, and the doctors come out and haul him off and have to send him on a special train back to Centralia. And Mount Vernon narrowly wins that. So what they would do then in these home-and-home matches, if you have a tie, then you play the deciding game on a neutral side, which was icing, which is, if you get the railroad map here, you can see that it's sort of midway between. Gunshots go off. Apparently, nobody was hit fatally. And that's the only game I found yet that ended with gunfire. Maybe I'll find some more. Another thing is that another trend that's emerging, and what I'm finding, again, I'm kind of at this point looking outside of Chicago and outside of Rockford. There's about 3 or 4 teams in Rockford. Everybody knows about the 4 cities. There's lots of stuff about the 4 cities. A lot of stuff now. We had a fellow here earlier down in Chicago, and I'm eventually going to get into that as well. But this whole new territory downstate. It really peaks in 1866, 1867. Oh, there's sneaky how you doing. Yeah, this is the historian of Chicago baseball here. I'm going to try and pick his brain before the week digs over here. It's just like the Pike County Democrats said, it's sort of like a fever. And what happens when you got a fever if you're going to survive? What eventually happens? What happens to the fever? It breaks. Right, exactly. And so that's what we're seeing with a couple of exceptions. By 1868, most of the adult clubs are gone. Or at least they're not active. The Quincy Occidental Senior Club sort of regroups itself to play the Red Legs, the Red Stockings, excuse me for saying that. This is cream, but you have to have somebody playing. You're not going to put the Occidental Juniors up against the Cincinnati Red Stockings. So you get a couple of examples like that. Fort Clark in Peoria, a very good team in Fort Clark. They win a championship over at Rock Island and they never play another game. After 1867, they're done. The Fort Clark Juniors keep on. So what generally happens is after 1868, it becomes a junior game. These younger guys are playing. Oh, we can see that. We see that in Dooms baseball. We were talking about that a while ago. You know, you get the ground squirrels and grinders out there on the field, and you bring in a bunch of 20-year-olds, what's going to happen? So these younger guys have been playing the game longer. They have more skill. They can catch the ball. They're catching the ball on the fly. The scores are going to start to go down because of that. So the adult guys, well, they got other things to do. They got families. They got jobs. They, at least in an organized sense, start to drift away, and it becomes a junior game. And as it does, with the exception of a few places like Quincy or Monmouth, where you have really strong junior teams, or Peoria, the newspaper coverage goes way down. Where you might have a 3 or 4 paragraph story in a box store about a game, now you might have a paragraph saying the Fort Clark repeated Chillicothe 48 to 13.
Bob, can you give an idea of what the age range is that differentiates the teams?
Good question, yeah. There's actually, and Mr. Fry probably, there's a fellow that several years ago did an article on Chicago baseball, youth baseball, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think his category is 16 to 18 were the juniors, 14 to 18 juniors, and then what, 12 to 14 would be the pony.
Yeah.
Pony. So the juniors, it's a pretty wide thing, but 18 is pretty much the top. So those junior clubs become the ones that are still going on. People are still playing baseball, I think, probably in a recreational form. Okay, we're going to have a picnic, or hey, let's get together. You get 9 guys, and I'll get 9 guys, and we'll go over to this place and we'll play baseball and just have fun. We're not going to spend a lot of money going around the country. Yeah.
Was there a time period where instead of seniors and juniors, it went from first 9 to second 9 based on skills?
Good question. Yes. Especially when teams are first starting, you'll see accounts of today, the Springfield Capitals first 9 played the Springfield Capitals second 9. Or sometimes the second 9 of the Springfield Athletics challenges the second 9 of the Springfield Capitals. So there are these definite differentiations early on. And maybe a little bit of that in the juniors. I don't recall a lot. The juniors primarily got first 9. And that's it. There might be some exceptions. So they're following that early style in terms of having 9s. But then after a while, as teams get better and go on, those second 9s start to, you don't hear any more about it. Unless they have some sort of, we're going to have a meeting and we want to travel, on the train, go 50 miles, play here, have an exhibition. So that answer. Yeah.
Was there any correlation back when they made that turn to where some of those founded youth teams or core league teams, or anything? When did that ever get tied in? What year did that, or is it documented?
Almost immediately, in some places, these adult clubs form junior clubs. Bloomington Juniors, Occidental Juniors, Fort Clark Juniors, and Decatur, they weren't called, the Decatur club was the McPherson club, he was a Civil War general. The junior club was called Central. So there's usually, and then Springfield, you have the Capital Juniors and the athletic juniors, but then you have all these other juniors, including one called Liberty, which becomes one of the top teams in the state. That's the one that Quincy has some problems with as well. I think they're probably the Liberties were okay. So, but in Springfield, you actually, I think, and I know, you have more junior teams almost from the get-go than you have senior teams. Those kids in Springfield, they were nuts when they had a chance to play baseball. Because they were one of the larger cities in downstate Illinois. Is that?
Yeah, I know what the time frame was, like if it started from the beginning as kids, or as it got progressed, the kids got younger, started playing, they started the kids out, so at 12, maybe at 8, or I didn't know if there was
Well, one way to look at it is in those early years, it's a top down. And as time goes on, it becomes a down rise. Except there's no more adult clubs. It's just the junior club. Yeah, and there's lots of kids. We have I can read this thing from Quincy. Basically, some guy wrote a letter to Quincy editor saying, look, there's a bunch of kids playing baseball on my block, and they're cussing up a blue streak. And so he writes an editorial saying, we're going to tell your parents if you don't stop cussing. And that's the problem in Bloomington. Another big letter to the editor. One of the reasons baseball gets banned is because a bunch of kids are playing on Sunday, which is, you can't do anything in Bloomington on Sunday. Except, I don't know, go to church and you go home and finally close the doors. These kids are playing baseball, and this guy was upset about it. So we have this anecdotal evidence, usually through not crime reports, but complaints, that there's this other baseball going on outside of organized clubs. And Millikin actually playing on the downtown square. Anybody ever been to Burlington Square? Imagine playing baseball down there, and you got that thing full of wagons and dust and mud and everything else. So that's it. So these teams are fragile, and that's enthusiasm. This is why I'm 1865 to 1869. 1869, with a few exceptions, enthusiasm is way down. What I'm looking at baseball as is a social phenomenon. Not so much as a game, but as a social phenomenon. Pick up the game stuff along the way. But why do these towns get so excited about this game? And then why do they become less excited? The game goes on. We know that because we're still playing baseball. But this stuff is like the whole town is talking about these things in those first couple of years. A couple thousand people show up for these games. Because it's the thing to do, as the first quote says, it's the fashion. And it's something that has not become, it ceases being the fashion. Game coverage, not as detailed as we'd like. And certainly, sometimes you can't make heads or tails out of what they're talking about. They do it anybody, anything, and they don't make sense. They've got guys that same name batting right after each other, they're not on the roster, so there's only one guy. What's going on here? I think because you didn't have sports writers. These were guys who were used to writing these little political editorials, giving the other side in whatever town held. They weren't, they were outside of Chattanooga. New York, there's not a lot of baseball writing and stuff. Maybe some in Chicago, I think, for that time. But, they're covering, like they might cover the Garden Club. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Occasionally you get something you can really tell them. And then you get you'll often get box scores. And if you're really lucky, you'll get a box score that has two initials, where initial comes about. If you've got Smith, how are you going to find a Smith in the state record of the census? You're not going to find it. So you hope for those one or two small ones. Let's see, what else we got here? Defensive play is more often noted than offensive. Because everybody's hitting the ball. Nobody can catch the ball. So if somebody can catch the ball, well, that's noteworthy. You know, that's a measure sort of a good player. This guy can catch the ball on the fly. He can make good throws. You know, today it's sort of, well, you like that. You think in terms of offense, right? Somebody's gonna hit a home run then, and then you hit it far enough, there's no fence, you hit it far enough, and you can't catch up and try to get on. That's a home run. A couple of interesting players. This guy, ironically, they were called the Babe Ruth of Illinois before Babe Ruth was even born. This is somebody writes about it later. Named L.C. McQuigg, J.C. McQuigg, who's a lawyer from Pana. He hit a home run there in Fairview Park. Apparently, I don't know, landed in Mount Zion or something. They were excited about that. And the other guy I'm trying to work on. Why? Because I think he is actually the first professional player in Illinois. First guy that we know was paid to play baseball. We know that because he was stolen, quote unquote, stolen from the Bloomington Club by the Chicago Excelsiors. His name was Patrick J. Heenan from Bloomington. What little I've been able to find out about him is he's an Irish immigrant who has spent some time in New York. So, okay, maybe he learned how he was a pitcher. So maybe he learned how to pitch out there in New York. You know, some of these things never going to answer. We're going to keep trying. Why is he the first? Because the Excelsiors are under tremendous pressure all the time because they had a really rough press. I mean, they could do, if they won, well, it was because they were expected to. If they got beat, oh, they're the worst time they ever embarrassed people to see. So they're under all this pressure. So this team was a pretty good pitcher. They'd seen him play at Rockford, so they come down to Bloomington and snatch him and try to get the catcher from the club too. He won't go. So they get then they get stolen later on. In one season, I think late 1867, correct me if I'm wrong, they have both Keenan and Spalding until that sort of loses it. I think Spalding's employer was bankrupt or something, and Keenan goes down to boxing. Keenan got homesick or whatever, and came back to Bloomington. That's different. The first professional player, likely, is a guy, an Irish immigrant from Bloomington Hall. I find that just fascinating already. And I'd love to know more about him, except he never sit down and say, hey, guess this is why I was a big baseball player back in 1867. He becomes a tavern keeper. So, but the professor asked me to name a couple of people who were famous, who I thought were great players. Who were the best teams? Based on this, you have to say the Excelsiors. With all their problems and stuff, they, I think, would be arguably the best team. But they had some close competition. I would think for a period between 1866 and 1867, Bloomington would be number one and number two or number three. Bloomington had managed to beat the Chicago Athletics, which was the second team, in a tournament at Rockford. The Bloomington team later beats the Forest City club. You have to, in that top three, you also have to include Forest City. Probably the top four because I say it's the Atlantic. Not the Atlantic. Yeah, I'm sorry, Atlantic. Chicago Atlantic beat the Excelsiors from time to time. And so they got four. I'd say top two, the Chicago team, right behind these two teams. Behind them, Fort Clark, Peoria, the Austin Generals, both junior and senior for a brief period, and then the Monmouth. We've got to do a lot more research. Why was Monmouth so good? Obviously, they must have had a happy accident birth or residence. They had some really good athletes. This is a point. Peter Morris, again, I mentioned him before. Peter Morris, almost killed in a car wreck a couple of months ago. Back home now. Must have got alongside or something. Anyway, he's doing well. He sends his regard to him. He has this book about Michigan. He said one of the problems they had in Michigan, why they lost enthusiasm, was they thought that, well, if you just practice hard enough, you will be a good team. Well, we all know, well, yeah, you can practice at help, but, what's in these? What's in these? That's God-given. You either got it or you don't. And so some teams, they can practice, 5 days a week and not on the ground schools to practice from now. So it's dry, probably not what they are now. But it's tough because the whole ethic of that kind is you work hard. You want to be a successful lawyer, you work hard. You want to have a successful grocery store, you work hard. You want a successful baseball team, you work hard and practice. Well, this isn't working. We can't beat mama. What's wrong with that? So that's part. So mom and clippers. And I've jabbered on here longer than I probably should have. Any questions or comments or thoughts of your own?